Oh, what is that? That looks like a new background. Let's tilt it so it's lined up there. That looks like a new background. Yeah, Carver's Customs. Looking it up. I probably have a lot to say before I start getting into the spinner. And I feel like I do that a lot, but then I don't want you guys to see like nothing down here. Oh, you know what? Why don't we just take a look at this? I was gonna use this for size comparison, but maybe we can just look at, oh, what's in there? I'll let you drool on it for a minute. I guess you've probably already seen the thumbnail, so you know what it is. And I've talked about this. You've seen this on the posts around and stuff like that if you're on the Facebook. Although if you're not on the Facebook and you're just on the YouTube channels, then you might not know what's in here. But you would have seen the thumbnail anyway, so spoiler alert. Yeah, so first things first, this little mat here. So I got this over from Anthony and Rachel over at Carver's Customs. And the interesting thing with this, they sent me a, or kind of talked about these little, you know, like the hanks and stuff like that. And I got sent two for completely unrelated things where I wasn't really looking for them, and I kind of wasn't sure. I never really wanted one. I was never really big like, oh, why would I have one of these things? And it's funny, just having one, all of a sudden you start finding places for it. Like I've got one at work that I use to set my spinners on my desk when I'm at work. I keep one in my bag, you know, for especially when I'm doing like car reviews or something like that. I wanted to try to have that in there, and it's actually kind of nice to have just like a nice, you know, mat or piece of cloth or fabric to work on. So that, you know, they got a ton of patterns, and this one just kind of spoke to me. I like the fact that it's kind of a, you know, like a matte fabric, and it's, you know, doesn't, you know, it's like a neutral color. It's kind of like a medium gray, so it doesn't try to underexpose or overexpose the camera. So we should hopefully get better light, and especially for photos, it should be really good for photos. So, so this is, we're pretty happy with that. So the other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was I hadn't done a video in a little while. Like I had been doing that daily content for a while, and I know I kind of talked about this and wasn't what I was initially after when I set out to do the channel and had no desire to make it an everyday thing. But you know, it's been a while since I released a video. And I had Thursday and Friday, I had like a long 4-day weekend, and I was actually planning on getting a bunch done. And, you know, we just had, you know, family stuff and the holidays coming on, and just couldn't really fit it in there despite wanting to get a bunch of stuff out. So I felt a little guilty. I know no one's going to hold it against me, but I've been like missing doing this a little bit. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, we got that out of the way. Let's look in the box. Oddiev is how I want to pronounce it, although I don't know if it's Oddiev. Customs, but this is from Oliver Alfonso Diaz down in the DR. And just I kept this aside because I wanted to show you too. I just thought it's neat, like it gets shipped. Yeah, the addresses and stuff are on the other side, so we're not going to show those off. But he just ships it with like a ton of stamps. I don't know, I thought that was kind of neat and kind of cool. Gives it just a little bit extra character. So this guy's got a bit of a story with it. Should we just open it up and look into it? Dun, 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 dun. Oh, a little teaser. You can almost see it a little. Thank you very much for supporting this business, Brass Floating Propeller. And then, I don't know if that's Oliver, Alfonso, I don't know. I'm not sure if there's a D in there. Anyway, November 1st, 2017. So it's quite a ways since then. So what actually happened? Ooh. What actually happened? Look at it, would you? Let's also see what else is it. So I don't know if he does this. It sounded like something he was saying he's trying to get into doing a little bit more is these coins. So I didn't ask for this. I didn't design this. I didn't see this until I opened up the box, which I thought was kind of neat. So I know it's something like, I think if you want a custom coin, he'll definitely do it. I don't know what he would charge to do that. I don't think much though, because he's actually really affordable, all things considered for what you're getting. So we'll leave that down there too. So what should we do? I don't know. I kind of like the way this fades out in the middle. Like it's got almost kind of like a gradient to the darker outside. But that octopus is so slick looking. But I think I actually like this side a little more. Yeah, we'll leave the pirate ship down there. The old Jolly Roger. So we'll get that out of the way. So anyway, what's the story with this guy? Because it does have a bit of a story with it. So first things first, when you order these, the biggest thing that had me looking, I had seen this design and was just like, man, this is stunning. But I kind of had held off on it a little bit. I'm someone, for better or for worse, I like to just see something in like an online shop and order it and have it shipped, or just order it and you know, be done with it. I'm not big on like having to PM somebody to get something done. And the way this works is you PM the guy and he works with you on it start to finish. So I don't know, it just seemed to me like it would be a bit of an ordeal, and it really wasn't. So, and it's super affordable too. So he does, you know, so this is like a custom piece, and it was $120 for this. And that is in brass. It's the floating, which is like, well, just about the most expensive one he does, aside from like something in Damascus, which I don't think he does this specific design in Damascus, or in titanium. This is the most expensive style, this, what they call the floating propeller with a line in the middle, as opposed to just a full solid bar. Yeah, so you hit the guy up, and he gives you a list of what the different materials are, the different prices, and he works with you on it start to finish. So you tell him kind of what you're after. And at the time, that's one of the reasons I brought this out for size comparison, because it's kind of a big guy. One of the reasons I brought this out for size comparison is I had the Kraken buttons, and I had the, you know, the Kraken pouches. Where's my other Kraken pouch? Or Octo pouch, King of the Sea. You know, so I had been just kind of, I just was loving the design aesthetic of the octopus for a little bit there. We'll put our Carver's Customs here. So I was like, let me get an octopus, and you should see some of the stuff that he found and some of the stuff that he drew. And, you know, he sets this up and he etches it on here. So he came up with this cool design, drew it on there, etched it in, and then he wasn't someone that was just like really satisfied with just kind of doing whatever, and he came up with this kind of cool like tentacles reaching up from the deep on the backside here. It's just got a really excellent finish. It's just really an excellent piece of art. And it was just so cool working with him the whole way through. Now it did, I believe he had recently gotten married, or a honeymoon or an anniversary or something that was going on. So I initially, my first PM with the guy was on September 23rd, and it's not normally this long, but it is a bit of a process. But again, I think it's something that you just enjoy when you get it, and it takes a little bit of time and you go through the journey. Part of getting this is working with a guy and working on a design and getting it set up. But he shipped it on November 1st. So it was a little over a month, that whole process start to finish, which I actually was kind of expecting going into it. I wasn't expecting it to be super fast. But he you know, he was like, he actually wanted to sell it to me a little cheaper, and, you know, full transparency, I actually paid him a little bit more just because I was really happy with how it came out. And I'm someone that doesn't like to undervalue art. I think, you know, especially as someone that does a little bit of art myself, I feel like I always undervalue it. I'm afraid to charge what it's probably really worth. That's a topic for a walk and talk. Remind me to remind you guys about Dunning-Kruger on a walk and talk. So anyway, yeah. So, and then the shipping actually had a bit of a problem. The tracking didn't work really well, and it actually took, I think, exactly a month to the day for me to get it. So he shipped it on November 1st, and I didn't get it till December 1st. But that's really out of his hands. I don't know what happened. The tracking was all over the place. It looked like it had a shipping problem. So it did take a little bit to get, but it was worth the wait. So, all right, story time's over. Let's actually talk about the spinner. So first things first, we're gonna take these buttons off, because I gotta be honest, the buttons just, and I think he's got options for buttons if you really talk about it, but these buttons just don't really do anything. It's neat that they're actually set in there a little bit, so let's take these guys off. And it's kind of an interesting contrast. I think with some of his spinners this would work, but they don't offer a ton of grip. They're not really large, and they're pretty close to the body, which on other spinners and other times, I've actually said that that's not a problem for me, but for these, they don't really do it, and they just feel not too plain, but the buttons are such a big part of the spinner. You really got to have the right buttons. So, but yeah, it's just sitting there. That's me scratching it a little bit, trying to get the shield off. So I should also say the bearing, something happened in shipping, because this box got a little bit crunched up. And I mean, it's in a padded envelope with a box, so, but I mean, this envelope definitely saw some abuse, so that's not his fault. And again, I was planning, yeah, I think it came with a one-drop or a one-drop style, like a shielded, very smooth bearing. But we got that guy out of there and threw it away. I actually didn't throw it away. I keep my bearings, but for like when I do stone washing and stuff, it's nice to have a bearing in there, a junk bearing. So don't throw your bearings out. You're gonna find uses for something, especially if you do customizing like I do. Anyway, you guys remember the talisman video I mentioned talking about some macaroon buttons? And this is the first time I'm showing off. These buttons are sweet. I'm sorry it took so long to show these buttons off. I've been meaning to do a review of these buttons literally almost since I got them, and it's just kind of how things have been. But these buttons are perfect here. Sometimes you just have the right, sometimes the buttons in the spinner, they, you know, it's serendipitous. They just, another example, right? Like, these are just sometimes it works out that way. In any event, but look at how good those match this spinner. And they're nice and tall, so you get a good grip. Can really throw this guy around and just look fantastic on there. So, and I did throw one of Hex. I'm not sure if it's an SB, it's an HC1 or an HC2. It's definitely one of Hex Hybrid Ceramics. I'm just not sure which one. I think I might have put an HC1 in there because I wasn't quite as worried about spin time. And was looking maybe for a little bit more feedback on this guy, but how does she fidget? So first and foremost, I think of this more as art. So I probably have a couple negative things to say about it, but I would do it all again in a heartbeat, no questions asked. So we'll get it out of the way now. 2 huge thumbs up. The whole thing is a totally worthwhile experience. So I want to get that out of the way. So, because this is just a fantastic spinner. And it's got a great aesthetic. It just looks stunning. It's got these really cool sharp angles, and especially with the custom work he did on mine. Juxtaposition, y'all, right? We got these very organic, almost kind of like creepy with this skull face octopus going on, and these very, you know, geometric shapes. So, anywho, let's weigh it too as well, because it feels, it's a little lighter than you would think. It is some sort of brass. I'm not sure what kind of brass it is. It kind of feels a little different than most brass that I'm used to. But we're at 70 grams there with those buttons. Little coin just for fun. 15 grams. So coin is sweet too. Like, this is a sweet, sweet touch. So if you saw that coin JB Smith has, the old Mr. Tungsten, he got a Mr. Tungsten coin. Let's get the measuring stick out as well, right? 2.5, just about 2.5 inches. If you're talking millimeters, right? Just about 60. So how is this guy to fidget with? Let's get spin time out of the way too before I forget. With this particular bearing, about 6.5 minutes, so not too bad on the spin time. And it's interesting, I got 6 minutes and 34 seconds both horizontal and vertical, which I thought was a little weird. Normally you get a big difference between the two, but it's just, I don't know. But I'm not too fussed with spin time. I know anything over 6 minutes is more than enough. It's one of those, it doesn't feel like it's ever gonna stop. So how's it to fidget with? So the first thing I think I want to get out of the way is that there are some hot spots on this guy. It's not too bad, but if you're doing really hard fidgeting on these edges, you can almost kind of see like it's sort of where it etched away. Yeah, we'll really bring it in close for you here. Where it kind of like etched away, you almost get like a bit of a lip coming up, you see that? And it's just, being that it's as large as it is, there's a little bit more momentum. I kind of said the word momentum there a little funny, did I? Some momentum. And some of these corners in here on the edges are just a little bit hard. So if you're really getting a rough, a really fast spin and a hard stop on the outside, sometimes you'll catch that a little bit. And it doesn't really bother me all that much. But again, with a larger spinner with really hard, powerful flicks, stopping it, you're going to get some of that. So really cool spin profile. You guys see that? Because this corner is further on the inside and reflects the light really well, but you get these kind of corners on the outside. You get kind of a reverse. A lot of times you see that larger side on the outside. Or sorry, the smaller side on the outside. Here you get it on the inside. So it's pretty cool, it's pretty rad. I dig the spin profile of this guy. But yeah, these corners, like this swoop down here, and all the texture that's on this, like you get, like any weather, you get good grips along the top. Like if I get my finger, there's no slipping, my finger has plenty of traction. It's got a really interesting texture, feels nice all around, especially on the outside. Like on the outside edges themselves, super smooth, super, I mean, I guess it's maybe not super smooth isn't the right word, right? But like it feels nice and smooth compared to like getting all the grooves and the texture from the etching on this. Oh, and I can't believe I almost forgot like the most important thing. So check this out, right? Like he takes this, and I actually want to try some of this myself. He inspired me, so I picked up some of this. I haven't even played around with this yet, but he just basically etches it in ferric chloride of some sort. So I don't know if this is like the same kind he got. This is kind of a larger bottle. Yeah, you protect part of the spinner and you drop it in that and it etches it away. So you don't have a lot of control. I mean, as you do it, I mean, I'm sure he's done it enough where he kind of knows how long you can leave it in to a degree in terms of how deep you want to etch it. But like, there's no way to tell exactly how much material you've removed, right? So how do you think the balance is on this guy? Right, especially considering, right, like there's what I would think is significantly more removed down here on this side, as well as down here on this side, which would make you think there's more material here, so it must be heavier on this side, right? Hold on, it didn't move. Look at that balance, would you? It's so hard to hit it just so that it doesn't spin for a while. But it's like virtually perfect balance. Ridiculous. So you get like a dead smooth spin. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic spinner. We're gushing about this one a little bit, but it's only because we love it. We love this bad boy. So I think we said everything we need to say. We talked about spin time, we talked about weight, we talked about fidgetability. It is great. It's, with it being as long as it is and as light as it is, it's, I guess I didn't really completely get into fidgetability. I started talking about the hot spots a little bit. But like anywhere you get it, it's great for stopping a spin, starting a spin. Being that the arms swoop out, it never feels out of position. You know, like I kind of refer to the Valkyrie the most for that, because that's the one I kind of, personally, I've found the most difficulty with, and the one I kind of ding the most. Like this thing just is, it's always right there, ready for me to fidget with, to flick, to pull. Even the silhouette of this guy, right, without anything custom, it's like a stunning profile. I think it looks fantastic. Flicking, pulling, preloaded flicks, gentle flicks. Again, stopping, starting, interrupting the spin, right? Like so I don't have to like bring it to a stop and then spin it. Index finger grips and then ring finger grips. Middle finger or ring finger flicks and pulls, middle finger flicks and pulls, reaching out to the outside even though it's larger, again, especially with like all these grooves and texture everywhere. No matter where I get it, it's good. So short of a little bit of hot spots and the buttons, everything else about this is stunning, but I wouldn't change those things because I feel like, well, I guess the buttons I would change, so that's a lie. I would definitely change the buttons. But the hot spots and stuff, the character of this, I don't think I would really want to see it rounded. I thought about almost trying to like bring this down, but I don't want to. And the hot spots aren't that bad to prevent me from fidgeting with it virtually all day anyway. So you just change it up. Like if I'm coming in across the plane like this, I don't run into the hot spot stopping it. Whoops, or flicking. So, or I can just fidget with it a little more gently. I don't have to jam on it at 1,000 miles per hour, or I can switch hands. Working like this, I've done it a little bit. Well, a lot of times, again, you see me kind of doing it for my first time on the video, but I did fidget with this a little bit like this. Sometimes in the car, I don't know why, in the car in particular, I find like this kind of fidgeting is nice, but it's got swoops down, so your finger can pull up on it. And especially if you catch it on the outside, you can get, there's a lot of leverage because of how long it is, some really what feels like powerful pulls. And it's pretty easy to stop out there too. Right, you can see like I'm getting it stopped out there quite consistently. Anyway, so yes, this is the Oddiev Customs. Hit the guy up, Oliver Alfonso Diaz. Deserves your support in business, and keep him busy so that hopefully it's a really long wait because he's really backed up in doing this. Assuming that he wants to have that sort of work, but dig it. I dig it. Let's bring it up one more time, shall we? Really sweet. Really pleased with it. All right, internet. It's been a while. I'm going to try to record a bunch of back-to-back videos so we got some content for you coming up. So, kisses. We got to have the octopus up, don't we?